Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about Season 4, talking about its good points, its bad points, and overall my thoughts on it in general. So let's go ahead and get started. So Season 4 has come, and not without some bugs, not without some issues for sure. Some of these have been cleaned up pretty quickly. Some probably are still persisting. There's all kinds of things wrong with like the faded raid and abilities not working, things tuned wrong in dungeons. Some people still don't like some of the tuning in the dungeons, and just things like that. Some of the fixes got fixed. Quaking got fixed for some of the abilities in the dungeons, and so it definitely came with its hiccups, right? And that's 100% sure. And there's no way around that. So what a lot of people don't know is there's very few people working on Season 4. For some people, that's just an excuse, of course. But generally, what World of Warcraft has done forever, so if you've played the game for as long as me, at the end of an expansion, it's pretty boring. There's nothing to do. Most people end up going and just playing other games and stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. But there's really not much to do at the end of an expansion. So what they decided to do is we're going to do this Season 4. There's like one guy mostly doing it. I'm sure he has some help. He has probably a small team or something. There's a small group of people working on Season 4 while everyone else is working on Dragonflight, which would normally just everyone would be working on Dragonflight, right? So they're trying the Season 4 thing. So with that, of course, becomes, there's always going to be some bugs, some issues, some tuning things, but there's more because there's just less people working on it, less minds on it, less people thinking, about it in general, and that's just the way it's going to end up being. Again, you can say that's an excuse, but for me, my general thought on it is that I'd rather have like a buggy first week Season 4 than not have a Season 4 at all, and not have anything to do in World of Warcraft at all. For me, I'll take the buggy first week Season 4. Hopefully it ends up being thought of as a success, and in the future, especially because they have more developers in general right now, in the future, perhaps more eyes on it, more bodies, more minds on it, whatever, and can get a little bit of a cleaner final season of a patch to go into an expansion. That would be cool. But I'm generally not that worried about the bugginess of it. So generally speaking, I would say that having Season 4 is good. The idea that it exists is good. Why? Again, we never had it before. We never had a Season 4. We never had a final season before, like this season that's just thrown together to give us something to do at the end of an expansion. Normally, it's pure boredom at the end of an expansion. Sometimes like a year or longer of boredom at the end of an expansion. And so, even go back just to BFA, even though my guild's not hardcore, we got every single person in the guild an Enzoth mount from Mythic Enzoth, and then we just had nothing to do, so then everyone just kind of chilled or whatever and waited for Shadowlands to come out. Whereas now my guild is mostly pretty much hyped. Most people are hyped for Season 4, having fun doing the dungeons, having fun in the raids, and just generally having a good time gearing up their characters, especially in a non pressurized way where we're not trying to get cutting edge or anything like that, because it doesn't exist. So it's just kind of relaxing, fun season, and which is what I kind of hoped it would be. I hope the tuning wasn't over hard, and it, at least in Castle Nathria, it hasn't been. I still think Sepulcher might end up being a little bit harder on Faded, but at least for Nathria it wasn't that bad. Gives you a chance to get some mythic loot on an easier raid, and then bring that to the harder raids as well. So that's good. So you won't necessarily over gear Sepulcher ever, but assuming that maybe it's still the affixes make it easier too. So assuming that it's not just overly tuned, it shouldn't be too awful to do. The other bad thing that you could say about the patch, other than the bugs and stuff like that, is that it's just another. It's a season, and it's not like World of Warcraft, right? There's no new story, there's no new quests and stuff like that coming out in this for Season 4 specifically. There is another patch. Obviously, there's a pre-patch, so technically that will fall into Season 4, I believe. But overall, there's nothing for Season 4 that has much to do with World of Warcraft in general. This is purely a end game thing, right? So if you don't play the end game, there's not really much for you to do here. Obviously, there's achievements, maybe you get your KSM or something like that every time, so you have that to do. There's the PvP achievements and stuff, whatever you do for that, and stuff like that. So as a casual player, it's not really bringing you much, and that is definitely a knock. I do feel like a lot of people who play World of Warcraft still, like, play it a lot still, either don't give a crap about it anyways, and they're just playing it because they RP, or they just enjoy playing with their friends and just doing whatever the heck they want to do. Some people play for pet battles, and I don't think those people really give a crap either way, but for people who do play kind of for the story and kind of for like that kind of stuff, it is a little bit lacking. It's still that same boring end of expansion thing for you. And I totally get that. This is definitely more for endgame players in general, right? That's just the way it is. PvP players also got a little bit of a short end of a stick here. Frankly, I think PvP in WoW is pretty bad. I've been pretty vocal about this. I think I'm going to do more and more videos on it, honestly, because it just needs to be said. At some point, somebody who matters has to see one of my videos. Like, I've only really done one, but at some point, somebody has to see my take on these on PvP and WoW, because I used to enjoy it so much, and it's just so bad now. It's so bad. It's not even fun to watch really on the AWC. I'm someone who likes the AWC too. I know a lot of people don't like it. They don't like esports, but I actually kind of like the AWC, but I think it's so boring. It's not fun to watch at all. It's not really fun to play at all. It's in a really, really terrible state right now. I think the gear scaling, going back to eye level scaling is going to help a lot in Dragonflight of the issues, or like a portion of a large chunk of the pie. I shouldn't say a lot. A lot would be like over 50%, but maybe like 20% of the pie of problems with PvP, it'll help or something like that. So I am optimistic about that, but it still needs so much more work and so much more rethinking to be modernized into the current year, 2022. And so I do think PvP is lacking, and I think it's going to continue to be lacking until they make big changes and it gets more popular. If that ever happens, I don't necessarily think that it will, but I do feel bad for the people who do love PvP and still play it so much that the dev team wasn't really worried about you too much, it seems like, for this. It was more of a, well, here you go. You can get your title again. You can get this mount that we didn't really put much time into at all. And yeah, that's what you get. So good luck with that. I guess they did do a couple updates and stuff. And who knows, maybe they will recolor them out or something by the end of it. And it was just not very high on their priority list or something. That's very possible. But yeah, PvP players got the short end of the stick as well when it comes to this. But I think that's just reality, because I think the biggest player base as far as endgame goes is probably Mythic Plus now. And then like rating is still pretty high. And then PvP is just falling down more and more and more as far as like what people do for endgame. Now, not what people do for fun, but what people do for like endgame. So I do think that's why it gets the short end of the stick, but I don't necessarily think that's fair. I just wish that they would make PvP better, so that way it was worth putting more time into. So PvP players, people who play for story, definitely have the nothing really to love about Season 4, and then there is bugginess to it as well. So those are all ticks for the bad column of Season 4, if I'm being honest there. However, I still would say overall it's good, because it's something that at least is offering something. So how could it be better in the future? Well, have the faded raids maybe be like almost like time walking raids in a way. Like, they don't have to be old raids, right? So you bring back like Nighthold. Most people like Nighthold and Legion, right? So you make Nighthold a faded raid because it's like a modern raid with the way raids are designed now. You scale it up, and then you put the affix in it or whatever, right? And you make a faded Nighthold, and you just make it kind of like Nathria difficulty, where it's not super difficult. But it's fun. You get to do the raid again. You get to have cool gear at the end of the expansion. So I think like having different raids other than the raids that you just completed during that expansion could be pretty cool there. I like the idea of doing the old dungeons. Obviously for this one they decided to go with like the mega dungeons or whatever. But and as expansions go on, we have more and more dungeons that were designed with Mythic Plus in mind. So bringing back like Freehold or something like that most people seem to love for Mythic Plus is definitely something that they could do like in the Dragonflight final patch, or final season, whatever you want to call it. They could do like Freehold as one of the dungeons, right? That a lot of people would love that probably. So I think picking like everyone's favorite dungeons, picking everyone's favorite raids, and then just like making like something cool for the PvPers, right? I think that's the biggest thing, like just something cool or unique for the final season, because at the end of the day, you can't really put affixes or anything into an arena match or a rated battleground, not and have it be like anywhat like competitive on a fair level. So maybe just give them something unique for that final season, or something that's a little bit extra cool. Like if all the mounts, looked one way, maybe you just make them look a little bit special for the last one, or whatever, add extra armor to it. I don't know how hard that would be for like the artists and stuff, but just maybe something a little bit special for the final season, just because then you just make the final season be fun and special. Final season should be about getting tons of gear, not having it be super hard. Now at the same time, you don't want to have like rare achievements and stuff locked behind that, that are make them trivial, right? You don't want a cutting edge for the final season if it's going to be kind of easy, right? That's not cool. So you don't want that. But you just want it to be fun. You want it to be rewarding as far as gearing up your character and character progression. And then you just take that cool character progression and take it right with you into the next expansion. I think that's what they should do going forward. I think overall this is a great success. I know a lot of the high-end players are absolutely loving Season 4. High-end PvE players are absolutely loving Season 4. So it's definitely a hit with them. So I'd say, again, I could go on a PvP diatribe at any moment, but like make PvP better first of all, but then like also then maybe put a little bit more time in the PvP section of the final season. And then I don't know what you could do for casual players, honestly. Maybe some kind of unique time walking thing, like time walking around the world thing, where like every single week there's time walking, and you go to like, you just time walking around the entire life of World of Warcraft or something. I don't know. Maybe there's something unique that you could do for more casual end players as well. That even if it's not about story, maybe it's about reliving the old story or something like that. I think that would be, obviously I think you should ask someone like that, someone who doesn't do, while I enjoy a lot of casual activities, maybe you should ask somebody or a group of people, a community of people who like don't do Mythic Plus and don't do raids, aren't in a guild or something like that, or they're in like an RP guild or something. Ask them what they might like to do for a final season, right? And that could be kind of cool too. You'd obviously have to put more devs on the team for that, but I think that's something that they can make happen, because again, for the people who this was designed for, the end game PvE crowd, they seem to absolutely love it. I'm seeing like overwhelming praise everywhere, even with the bugs, right? Normally you're at least gonna have like this segment of the group that are like, oh, this is so stupid, they lazy bugs and stuff like that. But no, pretty much everybody just loves it. So pretty much unanimously good for the people that they designed it for. And I would just try to make it more inclusive in the future, bring more people into it. And then also, like I said, maybe just do like fan favorites, fan service, favorite dungeons, favorite raid for the faded raids. And then like I said, something, whatever the casual community wants, that kind of, something that they want, not whatever they want, because it could probably be pretty crazy. But something that the casual community wants would be good too. So overall, I say this is an overwhelming success. I want to see more of this in the future. I want something to do before an expansion goes, because otherwise I'd be playing something else right now, honestly. I wouldn't have anything to do. Instead, I'm, grinding out Mythic Plus dungeons, grinding out Mythic Plus score, pugging on my good old Ret Paladin once again. And of course, thoroughly enjoying the raids, of course, which I always do. But yeah, just plugging my way through, enjoying getting my gear upgrades, man. That's what WoW's all about right now. So that's it for this one, guys. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out so much. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.